Vintage cars are undeniably popular, but the youthful presenters of Middle Class Vroom had never driven one. In order to find out what makes old cars find new owners, we met up with Maxime, who is very French. In post-war France, highways didn't exist yet. Roads were muddy or cobbled. Citroën produced the 2CV. It was the car which mobilized France after World War II, and it was their equivalent of the German Beetle or the Italian Vespa. It was a simple car. The 2CV was designed to transport a crate of eggs through a freshly ploughed field without any of the eggs getting damaged, all while being able to cruise along a French B road at 60 kilometers an hour. The Dyane took the winning formula of the 2CV and added some much-needed refinement.
All the models of Dyane came convertible, but it wasn't enough for Citroën to be able to outsell their classic 2CV. Actually, the 2CV came in production around the 50s, while the Dyane came in the late 60s. It was sold until the late 80s, and the 2CV, the last ones, were built in the early 90s. So the 2CV had almost twice the life of the Dyane, which is quite a shame, knowing that the Dyane is just a little bit more advanced. This car came out in 1967, and it's the version for the salesmen. She has a little bit more options than the regular one. The door panels are made in plastic and not in compressed cardboard, which is quite nice. There's a sticker that lets you know the weight of the car. You can also fold the back seats all the way to the front to have more space. She came with only one side mirror. The wipers are quite slow, quite small, but you don't use them usually because they are not useful. They're so slow that you have to follow them under the rain. Front of the car, globally you have the motor, which is a bi-cylinder that is flat, laying flat on the ground, and the noise, you can really recognize it, especially when you're over 90 years old. It remembers you of many things. The only thing you have to add is oil, which I haven't added since last September. You also have a spare wheel, which is quite useful. Under the spare wheel you have the cric, I don't know the name in English, but it's a cric. And you have the manivelle, which I don't know the name either, but you can use it to start the car when you don't have more energy to start it from the inside, or if it's a bit cold.
Quand tu veux.
Voilà, un tour de manivelle. It's powered by a 6-volt battery, so you can't be helped on the road by anyone because you drive with a 12-volt battery usually, so it's quite hard to be saved, but you can save yourself, as I did when I took it back from Toulouse, where I originally bought it to an old paratrooper French guy, who is really nice guy. And when I brought it back after maybe like 15 hours of driving, I noticed that the thrust pedal wasn't working anymore, which was quite a problem as I was trying to go forward and not backward on the road. So I drove on the side of the car and decided to try to fix it myself. It took me approximately 20 minutes without any mechanical knowledge, and I just opened the book that the mechanic used to have when they were trying to fix that kind of car, looked at approximately what wasn't working on the car, so the pedal, and I noticed that there was an iron bar linking the pedal to the carburetor, which I wasn't knowing that was a part of a car yet, but I got used to it now, and I just had to put it back on the carburetor, put a little metal wire around it, a Serflex, and it was good to go, and I haven't had to fix it since then. So it's quite a good car in terms of motorization. Et on est prêt à rouler.
So, being the passenger in a Citroen Dyane is considerably more interesting than being the passenger in any other car I've ever experienced. You're at every single turn, you're pushed
leftwards or rightwards depending on how the car is turning, because the suspension is, oh god, is absolutely remarkable. It's highly amusing. What exactly is the suspension and how's life at the back?
Most cars back then had 4 separate springs, one for each wheel. Simple, independent, but the Dyane didn't. Citroën connected the front and rear wheels on each side with a single long spring hidden inside the chassis. So when the front wheel hits a bump, it pushes down the spring and actually helps the rear wheel follow smoothly. The result? It feels like you're gliding over the road, even when the road is terrible. We were literally flying over massive speed bumps at 60 or 70 kilometers an hour, the kind that you would have to U-turn away from in a sports car, and the Dyane just soaked them up. But there's a trade-off. Whenever someone gets in, the body moves around like a jet ski. It looks ridiculous, but is very stable over speed bumps.
So being in the back of the Citroën Dyane is an extremely fun experience. For one, there are no back seats, there are no individual seats. There is a leather padded bench that has been bolted onto the subframe of the car, and that is it. So there is nothing that actually holds you in place. So every time there is a turn, like for example right now, you're shifted to the right or to the left, and there are no seat belts at all. You can move around freely in the seat. There's nothing stopping you from moving around in the seats.
As a driver, what differentiates this car from other cars you've driven?
So first of all, the gearbox, because you have to push to put it into gear or to put it back. Also, the handbrake is quite fun to use. It looks like a pistol handle. You basically don't look at any counter or anything like that. You drive with the sound of the motor. You also have a great visibility, and actually on this model one of the rear windows wasn't added, so in the later model the visibility is even better. It's a convertible, so it's really pleasant to drive, especially during summer, and the whole feeling of driving is really smooth, but you have to be careful because as it has drum brakes, you really have to take your time and plan every move you make. So it's way different than with regular cars or modern ones where you can brake in like 15 meters. On this one you're more on the 50 meters kind of braking.
So other than the lack of airbags and or headrests, the other slight disadvantages of this car are the smell, because it's an old car. When you fill it up with petrol, it smells of petrol, and the noise. There is no sound insulation of any form. We're sitting at what I'd guesstimate to be 3,000, 4,000 revs constantly. So it does get quite loud, and if you are using this as a fun thing on a Sunday, that's not an issue. It adds to its character and it makes it enjoyable. But on very long drives, it can become a pain. You said that when you drove this up from Toulouse you had earplugs in, correct?
Yes, I had to have them because the noise was just too much to endure for a 20-hour experience of driving.
Another interesting thing about this car, everyone likes you. At the time we've been driving, we've gotten countless smiles and waves and people just, you know, casually curious about it and impressed. And it's really nice, it's pleasant, you meet people. Most modern cars are set up in exactly the same way. The gear stick is in the same place, all the pedals are in the same place, everything looks similar. And if you know how to drive a modern car, you basically know how to drive them all. That hasn't always been the case. And when the Citroën Dyane was produced, companies were still thinking about different ways of doing things and how to innovate. And this car, and other cars of the time, had these little quirks that have disappeared from modern cars. So the steering is pretty comparable to a modern car because the car is so light. There is not an enormous amount of difference in regards to other cars I've driven. The gearbox is very much different. Première? Yeah. Gearbox is very much different to other things I've driven. It's requires quite a lot of concentration currently, because I'm very aware that I don't really know what I'm doing, and I very much don't want to break Maxime's very nice car. Okay. It's an interesting experience. This will take some getting used to. Yeah, this requires my full concentration, and I can't think of anything intelligent to say.
So, is the Citroen Dyane a good car? Well, it depends on what you consider a good car. The body rolls like a jet ski, the noise inside is monumental, and the windows barely open, and it smells like gasoline after you fill it up. But for all of that, it has something most modern cars have lost: character. The car is slow, simple, it's flawed in many ways, and yet, half a century later, people still remember it. Not as a great car, but as a very French one.
I loved the Citroën Dyane. As a daily driver in 2025, it's not viable. It shakes and buzzes, maxes out to 80 km an hour, struggles up hills, and simply lacks too many safety features. However, as a weekend toy, I think it's perfect, both from a financial point of view and in terms of driving experience. Maxime paid €6,500 for his, and you can get them for less. Insurance is €100 a year, it's fuel efficient, and maintenance costs are negligible. The car holds its value. The Dyane makes you, and everyone around you, smile. It feels like the wheels are about to fall off, and you get an enormous feeling of speed even when going 20 km an hour under the speed limit. With modern legislation punishing speeding more and more, I honestly believe you'll have more fun driving this, or something like this, on a public road than you would driving a track-focused supercar at road-legal speeds. The Citroën Dyane. I want one.